music is hitting another ebb, and we're hoping that the action will soon follow.
And this is how it all turns out. Zoom and Yagao, Dumpling Brothers has long time been an identity in this team, but coming into this, you heard us talk about Infant Lumao for good reason. This bottom lane of JDG has been redefining the LPL. And this is a moment where they can state against the strengthened Big Koro and Talon, who've decided they want to go and charge this bottom lane for themselves.
Someone's going to stand up for the side of the LMS VCS. Surely it's the Dashing Buffalo. I just want to get into this, and I hope it lives up to its on-paper future. I hope we get kill-a-minute action between these two.
Some of the quickest teams in both the LPL, the VCS, will be heading into game. Flash yourself forward because JDG and Dashing Buffalo, for the first time here at Rift Rivals, the LPL makes its debut. There are the Gyos. Feels just like home, Papa Smithy.
It's a shorter hop for China than some of the other international tournaments, so it is a pleasure to have the Chinese fans in audience. JDG walk up. There's just the most CC at level 1 on the JDG side, so they're waiting to see if anyone's out of order. Predictably, Dashing Buffalo will relent for now.
Walk to that pixel ward, and that's pretty much it. A standard fan across here for Dashing Buffalo. Just looking across the board, second time we've seen the electrocute on the Akali, which has been the go-to. Nothing else really a standout there. Good to see a Shen support, which is what no one will say. But still, tank matchup in a tank matchup in the bottom lane.
One we never lost in the LCK. And like you mentioned, when you see Nautilus, you have a pretty long leash for your support. A very common pick we've been seeing recently from Tucson is Taric in a lane like this, because you're like, well, how much can this champion punish me if I can block the hook? Therefore, why not scale with a support like Taric? I guess Lucas was playing Taric over on the IG side when he was rolled into the lineup. With Dashing Buffalo, the point about them always that we talk about when we see them in international events is that in the craziness of the VCS, the most bloody region in terms of amount of kills per minute, they were always the more controlled side, but you're still sucked into action when there is aggressive teams everywhere. So while their average game time of 33 minutes is not kind of G2's 26 minutes by any means, do note that in 33 minutes, there is an average 36.3 kills. So there's a lot of action. So there's still a kill a minute between kills and deaths in those Dashing Buffalo games. And JDG's in the LPL. They're also above a combined kill a minute. So hopefully when the clock reads 20, we got 20 kills between the two teams.
Average game time went up, but still they're looking towards those quick averages. Looking at Flawless here, going for this deep invade early. He was spotted out, but his pathing quite unique as Meliodas knows not to go in here anymore. Good zoning by the JDG jungle.
Yeah, red to red actually was the path. Only 2 camps done. Not the best champion in taking Raptors is the Jarvan, but he's just trying to battle ward here to allow his other lanes into comfortable spots. Poking around, Meliodas, you know, he's a Gragas. One of the reasons you make this play is if you have any instinct that Meliodas starting top side, the easy 3 clears to get level 3 that Gragas is usually going to default to doesn't exist anymore. So they've taken away a camp, and the usual pretty easy to protect bot side around a Lucian lane is actually going to be bereft of a red buff.
At least he does get the Raptors in the end as well, so small experience lead and camp lead. Flawless goes back to his own jungle, set up now for the early Scuttle Crab, which he's just waiting around for. Looking for more bottom side priority that's already started building up, while Meliodas towards the top side in Zoom. Flash gonna be burnt instantly there, so respect towards the jungle.
That's a really nice moment for Meliodas. He's able to turn something around after being dictated to for so long.
Yep.
Wasn't able to pick up Krugs. Flawless will know Krugs is up. There's no way you clear Krugs and got top side. And the thing about this Gragas path that we saw going from top to bot is you wanted to recall, pick up your boots and also your machete, and then clear all the way up, starting with the Krugs. So not having a Krug camp is very, very annoying, and the jungle pathing he wanted to go for, he aspired to go for, has been cramped in style by Flawless.
So now he's looking for a recovery in the top lane as a potential. Can go deep into this jungle, and still where the Raptors all get the positioning on Zoom. While Flawless towards the bottom side clears the Krugs, doesn't opt in for something like the dive down there. So it's a safety start, which you wouldn't expect out of both these regions. Lumao taking a small trade, but it's not going to be much against the Nautilus.
Imp went super deep to put down a ward on the Krug camp.
Yeah.
It's actually a cool kind of mind game in some ways, because obviously they know that that's a camp that's going to be down for a while. But now it fakes out the pathing from the Jarvan a lot, right? Because they're playing like he wasn't there when he was. So Have an interesting little mind game. In the mid lane, Yagao pilfering summoners around, putting tempo exhaust down. Yep, you should be tilted. Zoe's back.
Yeah, Jarvan's nearby as well. So to see Yagao on this paired with something that can have easy accessibility through the mid lane towards the topside jungle as you're seeing now.
Oh.
Puts Yagao into a good position. What's wrong?
I'm saying the Gragas is sad.
Oh,
Meliodas is like, my level 4! I was so close! Well, that's what happens. The late ward that went down, and the control ward, I believe, doesn't actually control that ward, so not actually spotted.
You can say I'm a jungler who doesn't really value Krugs when I should.
I mean, if you're a jungler that doesn't value Krugs, you're a bad jungler.
Yeah, I'm a support,
unless you're
mate.
playing Pantheon, then it's fine.
That's true.
Meliodas, this is what happens when you're pathing. We talked about how he wanted to path. This is like the worst day of his life.
Yeah.
He went to his bagel shop, out of bagels. He went to his coffee shop, long queue, had to wait for them.
Yes.
And you know what? Is it going to be piping hot? It does appear that his coffee's still going to be piping hot. But Flawless, he's on the case.
For another one. This is going to be the first camp in a while taken there by Meliodas. Flawless has ease of accessibility, as I talked about before, but through the bottom side jungle that's still available, where's Meliodas go now? Well, Wolves are going to be coming back up, and really does seem that pathing is going to make a big impact moving into this mid-game, and the jungle lead that is starting to accrue there on Flawless' side.
But if it just ends up being like Flawless being annoying and Gragas farming next to him and no action happening, at some point Gragas got a flash, and then Gragas gets to be Gragas, right?
That's true.
Gets to shrug off the skirmishes that are going to be more Jarvan favorite. Here, though.
This is Jarvan being Jarvan, though, Papa
Yep.
Smithy. The level difference, the flash. Look at that trouble bubble from downtown.
Thread in the needle. That one draws out a flash. So, now Flawless's game of cramping this guy's style. Flawless, in case you guys weren't watching LCK in 2016, for the one split he played there, unfortunately was buffless by Peanut.
Yep.
He was someone that had every buff stolen from him in a game, which was insane. Well, he's trying to turn that shoe around. It's mid lane, vintage Yagao.
Yeah, that is a chunk of damage onto Null, which he's not going to be able to get back too easily.
Definitely a matchup that Akali is hoping and praying for a Gunblade before things change. Merc Treads might be useful too. Redemption's there. I'm triggered. I'm triggered for Starix.
Yeah, I know. There's just too much given over to Zoe. Just makes you appreciate that much more that Flawless wins out in the trade. There's no flash for Meliodas. Gank potential seems to have gone down on the now level 6 Zoe, so even though you have perfect execution for Null, the poke comes out, it's even longer. You pointed out Redemption too, so it is a pain going up against Yagao right now.
And if Yagao can make it all about Yagao in the early game, this game actually slides into relative normalcy for JDG. The moment that Imp, kind of has a transformation or kind of feels strong, he has such strong lanes to Killer Instinct down a lane on, right? Top side, the ultimate comes in, unstoppable onslaught from Sion, in swoops Kai'Sa, free kill instantly. Speaking of kills, onto the red buff here, continuing to try to cramp Meliodas' style.
There need to be a steal here from the jungler. Flawless level 5, so no Cataclysm just yet. Red buff taken away.
Control ward invested, right? So
That's right.
Able to kite the camp out. Meliodas, he'd love a Krug camp, but it's the most he's going to get.
So much vision control down there by JDG. Invade after invade, and JDG control the map right now because the vision prioritized towards the top side here for Dashing Buffalo, but everywhere from JDG under control towards that bottom side map.
And unfortunately, that just means that Meliodas is trying to farm alongside, but he's missing out on big buffs. He's being pushed around the map. Experience is the only true lead, though, as you'll notice he has gone CS for CS against his opponent when it comes to a mounted camp. Bot side engage starts.
Okay, there's a 2v2 for now, but Meliodas coming in with Predator ready to body bomb in. If level 6, but Lumao at 5 sacrifices himself. First blood over to the VCS.
Even though he's not level 6, the mind game is there, and there was no time to flash for Lumao. He just dies on that one. Has to back away. Nice little moment here, and I love these counter punches from the Dashing Buffalo. It does show us that so far, not a lot to separate the two teams.
Really important to keep JDG down while they can't really float at the moment in this bottom lane. First kill also to the Lucian, who should have a much better lane. Flawless will actually find Pallet, does get Shadow Dash, the explosive cast comes out, Flawless in trouble as the bubble comes through, but I think Flawless left alone, he can't flag and drag away. The flash is over, Null has the perfect execution, finds his way over, and JDG lose yet another with Yagao unable to get a response.
The moment the sweeper found Pallet, actually there was no exit plan available for Flawless, trying to problem solve himself out with an EQ, didn't want to flash late, and Akali feasts on him. Null has to use his summoner. Nice moment there though was, well, Akali, enjoy the damage.
Yeah. You'll take the kill any day, though, for that trade. So, able to get something back in this lane that was already losing out on CS that hard and this early in the game.
And all Zoom can do is not bide his time on GP. He's biding his time on Sion. And to me, Sion is very much about hitting the ground running. This is going to be a lot of damage.
Going to get it in the end, and that was a short trouble bubble for that much.
But the trouble is clearly there with Flat Pen already done.
Right.
We talked about those killer instinct ganks on the first back timing with Manamune. We already see it coming through from Imp. Very common play here when you have a super tank in the top side. When does the ult come in?
Gonna get it at melee range, pops it now into the world ender. It comes in immediately with that killer instinct as you talk. The Shen stand united. Is it in time? Yes, it is. Pallet's up there, but the decimating smash takes him out. Pallet just watches him die in the end.
And the Flash very optimistic when they had no idea that there was only enemies in the midst. So a bonus objective of the Flash picked up after the kill. We talked about the play. Seemed like it wasn't scouted by the side of Dashing Buffalo, and it should have been. And you know why, Hysterics? Because of the timer. It's around 10 minutes. The Rift Herald freshly piping hot, and now a big helping is going to be attempted to be grabbed by JDG.
So common in the LPL with this rotation coming up from the bottom lane, but Dashing Buffalo wanted to make a response. They pushed them off of it. But will JDG keep contesting?
Do have perfect execution available, so Kali can be annoying here.
Oh, but then suddenly the fight's over because Yagao comes in on the side.
Suddenly Zoe, we're rolling back the clock. It's spring again for JDG, and for their fans, that's not too bad, especially if we're talking playoffs. Big Coro can push for a while, but wasn't able to delete the turret while all of the commotion was happening topside. Speaking of turret deletion, Rift Herald is going to be prepared, and Imp still going to find plenty of gold.
Seen a lot of instant Rift Heralds here tonight, Papa Smithy, and this is going to be one of the better ones with 3 members on the top side. Gold does split, but this turret should be contested well. And
the big boy already hit bot lane. There was no ult available, but Zoom just scurried his way there, and there's a chance they lose first turret as insult upon injury.
Dashing Buffalo consisting on taking it, or rather getting the Rift Herald off the turret. They succeed in doing so, so they hold first turret for now, but gold's already spent, gold's already split in him, and Lumao will stick up here for now.
And you don't mind this commotion as Imp because you still don't have a transformation. This build is all about getting a very early Q transformation on the Manamune. Muramana itself had a lot of AD added to it in a recent patch, and so you just load it with attack damage, and you should have the transformation very, very soon. I believe at this point, if you've just cashed in mana for a little while, until the tier's gone for a little while, you will have it. The E is delayed, but think about that. What is the E for? It's for team fighting, it's for dodging away, it's for consistent DPS. The burst is online very early, and given we talked about Killer Instinct and also the Jarvan, the Nautilus, everyone can open up a Killer Instinct gank. If you don't know where Imp is, he's probably coming to kill you real soon.
This has been the constant build in the LPL. 9 out of 10 games, we always see this Manamune come through. And rarely do we ever see the Storm Razors, but Imp gonna be relying on...
Doesn't know that the Aatrox is behind him.
Kind of escape. He finally finds out 2 out of 3 land, and Imp just walks away with the Killer Instinct, but that's an ulti burned, and Ryzo looks like he could be getting out.
Flawless and gang walking forward, but a ward is there and a bit more optimistic of a gank path. Meliodas in a nice spot. Counter gank this one.
JDG really want this turret to drop down, and for Dashing Buffalo, they're going to commit 4 members to the top side in stopping this, but better team fight right now.
The ward here is doing so much work.
You're going to see the world ender, you're going to see an Aatrox die before it can open up. Teleport to come in, and Zoom has the ulti available if he wants to set up for a second fight.
And that ward was super high value for JDG. They want to get that first turret. They should break it here.
Now Zoom can take this up, minion wave or not. JDG open up the map and get the first big gold lead of the game.
Important moment for JDG. They've been answering kind of the advantages that Dashing Buffalo has stacked together. That was an investment of Pallet's ultimate, but no aggressive pick onto Yagao possible.
2 times now we've seen this ulti not have much effect here. So used into the mid lane. Yagao still able to stay in lane and get the shove out eventually.
Dashing Buffalo done a good job of reacting to Flawless's pressure. Yes, Flawless was making Gragas' life hard, but alongside that, Gragas got back in, and we wondered, is this going to be the turning point here? But specifically being on a minion here did not diagnose from the minion wave crashing that it was going to be actually a lane ward. It just got instantly killed there. So very straightforward. JDG know they're going to turret whether the minions are cleared out or not. And they can even just follow the next spawn. They're picking up neutrals wherever they go.
Lumao playing the cool guy there, just not looking at the explosion at the end as well. Dragon going to be picked up, as you mentioned. Infernal coming up next. So with the windows of opportunity that are being created by JDG, and Infernal starts putting a frown on Dashing Buffalo's face.
And it's also the early magic penetration and Ludens onto the Zoe, and we all know how that goes. Bot lane.
Zoom has ulti to get out, burns the flash in the process, so Dashing still trying to get windows themselves.
It's Sion. He gets to call people cowards and run away. It's kind of weird.
He's still looking good in lane.
He's a do as I say, not as I do. He's Henry VIII of top laners, is the Sion.
My British history is garbage, by the way. Only thing I know from England is Blackadder, which is a great show.
You don't know about Brexit? Don't read that one.
That's confusing. Or maybe it's just me.
A little bit of both.
Leave
a little bit of both, mate.
Leave that one as a question mark. Zoom left alone defending this turret underneath lane. Rizo's been a quiet achiever in a sense. Still up in lane, but those two deaths have kept him far behind the curve.
It's obviously not a punishing lane matchup against the Sion, right? You're just kind of farming and taking any free harassment. Thornmail done, so yeah, pretty clear what we're working on here. We talked about, hey, please no more AD on the side of Dashing Buffalo, but it's not like a Kali can puncture through Sion's shields that easily anyway. If you're a health sacker, you're not who a Kali's looking for as an assassin, so gotta say, Zoom at 15 minutes, he may not be unkillable, but he is a raid boss.
And he's such a pain. You know, the one member there you're going to be worried about is Big Cora, but if Zoom's dealing with him, no dramas. At this point, when JDG still have a lead, I'll be optimistic and say for Dashing Buffalo, still those individual kills have brought them through to a much more stable mid-game than it was turning out to be.
Issue to me, though, is that both Imp and Yagao have kind of reached good points in power, bridges, if you will, to a metaphor that we've used a couple of times today. And they have so many ways to empower Imp if he decides to swoop in. And he doesn't have to care about too much. He has Cleanse as his summoner spell here. So given that they have a lot of burst and they have a strong front line, you're going to have to really divide to conquer as Dashing Buffalo. And if you've got a Sion comp, you're not looking to divide too much.
With Zoe behind them, that's what happens to Big
with a siege
hill. And Minuet's going to get taken down, but I think JDG are okay with that. Explosive cast used to not much effect.
Yeah, hoping to bounce into turret, get a flash, don't get anything.
Oh, wow, Yagao.
That one was exquisite from Yagao. No kill coming, but a Lucian who needs to go on a shopping trip.
That's right. That means the turret is going to be almost guaranteed here. And Big Cora actually deciding to stay behind.
And he gets interrupted by the Void Seeker being sent out, right? So doesn't have too many options, this Cowboy is hopping man on the back end here. JDG take down a turret. You don't necessarily think of a Kai'Sa comp as a siege comp, but 3 beefy boys and a Zoe. Sometimes Zoe can do all the hard lifting herself.
Second turret of the game as well. They break down mid, looking towards the bottom side. Will be Nall towards that top side, picking up the solo turret gold. So still good news there, but across the map, JDG just on this path.
Sadly, for us, a mostly deathless path forward, but one that, you know, the moment the Sion came in, sadly, we were kind of assuming that we had perhaps misled you.
Yeah. But at least Yagao. I mean, out of the Dumpling Brother duo that we always talk about in the LPL, if Zoom is not the person to watch, it'll be Yagao, and vice versa.
But, you know, we're casting the first 3 today, Historics, and we're passing it over to Atlas and Raz for the net. It does feel like we haven't really learned too much big, apart from expectations kind of correct on the LMS VCS. Yagao's playing Zoe and doing well, so you're not like, wow, it's a new pick, right? It's Yagao.
Yeah.
Yes, they've come in comfortable. They haven't been exposed by any means, but it feels like we're whetting the appetite of the fans, and it feels like we're setting it up for Atlas and Raz to really knock down the pins for the action later.
You know what?
Because now you're saying, yep, JDG, you're not rusty. You played a good game. You got your feet together as a rookie team on the international stage, but what else you got is kind of what you come away this first 18 minutes thinking.
And, you know, like what happens when the big dogs of the LPL go up into, you know, FPX King Zone later is a very good example of that. So, you're right, this maybe wets the lip of some of the LPL fans. That's a flash burnt away there by Pallet, just caught out by Zoom, who simply ults.
Means the Pallet has no taunt flash and really is only an ultimate, potentially a reactive ultimate that we don't want to talk about with our Shens. Meanwhile, Null on a nice little trip here. No teleport for a couple of seconds, but Zoom will be able to pick up this minion wave safely really soon.
Null's been up there for a while, doesn't want to deal with anyone from Dashing Buffalo, but as mentioned, teleport still in hand, double TP actually up there for Dashing Buffalo. And still towards this bottom side, JDG just waiting for the blue buff, and that bubble likes to travel.
They need to burst here. Remember, no E transformation on imp at the moment.
Meliodas using the body buff away, red buff resets. So
awkward.
That might just be secured, but with the bubble landing once again onto pallet, here we go, Troll bubble into the portal jump. And Meliodas getting half health again.
Still, this is actually JDG in a decent spot, not by a big gold lead by any means, but with a bit of control and a good moment.
Yep.
Not really being able to find any bonuses, right? It ends up being to trade, and the red buff is claimed even by the person who wants it. Now, the Infernal, because of how aggressively they were posturing, the fallback Infernal is impossibly contested, so that is a nice trade overall. Enemy red buff picking up the red buff, and you taking away the Infernal Drake. Still, kind of feels like we're getting into siege territory once again and waiting for that Yagao pick to come.
Ooh, almost came through with Lumao, sending out another anchor. We'll note as well, it's a double Infernal coming across, so some good RNG Drakes this game. Dashing Buffalo actually catching up on the gold lead as well, but the question will be whether Ryzo gets out, that's a yes.
And then it comes to, can Null just skip past the big boys and kill someone instantly?
Great
because
point.
if you kill Kai'Sa or Zoe, there's some sick no damage on the side of Jay's kind of been a trend today, a lot of frontliners, which to me is a little bit out of place. Maybe it's just safety first for the international stage. I feel like we'll end the tournament in a different place that we started when it comes to some of these meta choices. Yao comes in, pops the goes, cycles his summoners. Let's farm up and let's get going. Come on, let's get some fighting.
We've got a needlessly large rod in there, by the way. So what? Wheat staff on the menu. Go second item. So it's been a while since we've seen a Zoe, and I don't think we've changed that much in item choice.
Death Cap obviously is the one that is most threatened by a large rod. You're not putting Spellbinder into her collection there. It's just, I think, to guarantee very fast clearing of minions, because remember, flat AP against minions is always going to be good. It's not like there's any real magic resist completed. A couple of Merc Treads and the start of something for Pallet.
They definitely have the time to get there for the side of Yagao, who's 40 CS up over his lane, has been considerably better since we last saw him in the LPL.
That's a question mark, because obviously you watch JDG the most closely, even as a play-by-play caster. We always think of the LPL as a very bloody region.
Yep.
Where does JDG fall on like the bloodiness scale from like 1 to 18?
Like
IG is 1. Like, are they slow? Are they fast? Or are they really just sitting there in the middle?
Not as slow as we're seeing here today, because like in the side of JDG, playing through the solo lanes has always been very impressive. But the ability for them to play up in the tempo of the LPL, which expecting coming into this game, I thought it'd be a lot bloodier going into the BCS.
When I've tuned in to JDG, I never see Jarvan go mid. I think Yagao kind of is a bit on an island.
That's true.
On this team, and I see, is bot lane ahead? If so, everything falls into place. Right. If bot lane's kind of farming it out, okay, let's just farm. Seems to JDG seem happy with that, and then to try to make those good mid to late game decisions. Now, usually around there, something else is askew, and we get the action. We already talked about it, guys. If you're joining in late, both these teams average over a combined kill per minute, i.e., someone's getting a kill every minute in the games they're in. But turns out we're expecting 22.5, and we got 4.
It's the start. It's day one, so I can understand that teams want to take it easy, and especially for a team like JDG. More control. League of Legends Force has been caught out, so there's no control there. He flashes. He survives for now. Pallet to go gone, but Imp's still in a great position. Teleport through as well from Norm, who joins the fight into the backline. Imp's been caught out. The killer entering in the backline, though, survives for long enough to take down one. Yagao from the side as well. The other damage threat is Norm. Can't re-engage. He's used his burst potential. Now the Aatrox needs a reset. It's onto Lumao. He wants to get the World Ender pumping nice and early. Does find the one kill. And now for the reset, Yagao takes him down. A messy fight we're now finally getting. Flawless with the Cataclysm. Better late than never. Ryzo to jump in, but his ult's expended. Yagao has been leading this fight, and Doom's right along with him. The Dumpling Brothers reunite at Rift Rivals.
Ask and ye shall receive. Finally, the fight comes out. One initiated by Dashing Buffaloes, where they just weren't all in position. Ryzo was by far the last person there, and JDG able to take them down in the end. Watch the play happen here. As it all started, and it looked like it was going to be pretty innocuous, right? Just looking for a pick, and that would be enough. The initiation comes in, Flawless doesn't die, and that's where things get awkward with how the fight is going. Aatrox decides to take a full back into a TP as the action kind of starts.
Yeah.
So as the play goes on, it's pretty even as things are going, but 5v4 is always going to hurt, and I feel like we shouldn't be surprised that Dashing Buffalo traded down, because when they re-engaged, it was two pretty healthy people for Ryzer to come in after a lot of cooldowns were down.
Also, the bane of their existence in the end is that Flawless survived for so long, came in for this final Cataclysm, which, frankly, turned that fight into Yagao and Zoom's trophy.
Yeah, it could have been 5v4 on his thoughts in terms of how the fight was supposed to go, but smartly sticking around was able to still have a role.
Getting a closer look at Luma. Very calm. I'm sorry I cannot translate. Still learning Chinese.
I mean, even then, you can listen to tone, and that's the thing is we get a lot of nicers, right? But you can hear nicer and like nicer. They're very different things, right? And that's important to take away. Lamau woken up. He's not on fiddle, so he kind of doesn't understand how tanky he really is.
Just walks through. Ignores him anyway. He's going to double Infernal on the menu now. EPL getting hit slowly. Zoom going to be the one who's base tanking this for now, but Ryzer doesn't want to be here because we see the unstoppable onslaught once again falls into the backline. The troll bubble ends, but it's Imp again who just gets free roam, and for JDG, they can go front to back as good as you like. Zoom does not die, and Big Koro has to stop attacking him because right now, for Dashing Buffalo, they need to get out of there. JDG heading forward, Ryzo to go golden, but Nolan's the backside with the perfect execution. Needs the perfect mark in the fight. The bubble lands again. Two-man decimating smash. It could be good for Dashing Buffalo, but Imp and Yagao still alive. They get the return kill, and Zombie Scion stops them for a moment, but ultimately, it's still a win for the VCS.
But we're liking it. We're liking it. We're seeing some skill checks on both sides a little bit later, but hopefully we can catch up with the action. Really impressive that, honestly, Dashing Buffalo got anything. Knowles re-engaged. Looked like it was at the wrong time, but was actually pretty inspired towards the end, because to call JD's comp front to back would be really an understatement. Like, it lives and dies. It's front to back to the point where they will always put on their socks first, then their shoes. They play in order. That's how ordered this comp is. Flawless dives in. They already got the front line down, and you just assumed it was either going to be a cleanup or everyone dashing away. But Dashing Buffalo, specifically with the trouble bubble going wide, Noel decides to actually take and engage through the stasis and watch his play at the tail end here. He buys a lot of space, a lot of time, and stays off what felt like a complete destruction.
Yeah, that's right. He brought that fight back, and Noel's still alive by the end of it as well. So these longer fights are really showing the individuality in both these teams.
We'll take it. We would definitely like to see both teams try to flex at the same time after some pretty one-sided two games. Gotta feel like this would be up. We'll hold the point. Flawless.
They're called out. We're finally fighting again, though. It's Killer Instinct in. That's the Imp we know.
And that's the build he's playing. If you're gonna go Muramana, look for the picks. It's not as strong in the extended 5v5 until more items come in. So Imp is definitely wasting no time and swooping in at a moment's notice.
His Killer Instinct's down, but that's okay for now. Yeah, Zoom. Everyone saw it, and even Dashing Buffalo.
Cut that guy's portion of dumplings. He's getting a half portion of dumplings today.
Unfortunate.
Called mandu in Korea, in case you guys are wondering.
Okay. Zoom still has the ulti available, though, so he can redeem himself, but Null caught out on the flank.
He's on an adventure.
Yeah.
He's exploring the map.
JDG know where he is, though, now. Imp doesn't have ult, so it doesn't matter if it lands. Lumau's coming up. Here's the depth charge. The Korean audience are just going, oh no. Because Noel has to use the perfect execution. Ignites down, they lock him down. Dashing Buffaloes leave him. That's a pick for the turret as a trade.
Somehow, Zoom being caught with his pants down on camera actually caught out the enemy mid laner, which he'll take. They can start up Baron here, so Dashing Buffalo, they're trying to force a rotation. And JDG say, we're going to delete Baron, you better stop
us. And Pallet's there without the rest of the team. Yagao does magic damage. That means the Shen is going to regret this. Hit gets jumped on, flashes away. Culling's onto him as well. Look at Big Koro, the biggest of them. In fact, Dashing Buffalo, this could be their fight. Pallet saves his 80 carry. The biggest of Koros, still alive. Ryzo going head first as well. And for Lumau, to survive this long is good, but now they have to deal with a refed Aatrox. And Dashing Buffalo's walking away. They still want the kill, but Yagao. The LPL fight back.
They definitely do, but not necessarily in the way you expect. It's kind of a how did we get here moment. They set out on an expedition to France and somehow ended up in Hungary. How did that happen? But that's just what happened in this game. It's a bit out of order because one person pressing the wrong button started all of this.
We're starting to get to the more comfortable fighting comp zone. We'll take a look again because Imp getting jumped on by Big Koro.
And that's the thing, right? This is a massive Koro moment. He assassinates the enemy 80 carry that seemed to be ready to go and catching picks. So this time, Killer Instinct wasn't going to be the tonic to his success. As the fight goes on, A lot of the cute moments here, but just no way to fully disengage Yagao. They get the outside kill, but this started with Null being caught and then evolved into JD trying to turn it around and just take a Baron under the nose of Dashing Buffalo. And you try to pick up the pieces, they're a bit scuffed, but it's pretty even overall.
You take that as well. And I know that on the Korean side, they were looking at the top lane matchup. Well, Ryzo giving us his merit, but the mid lane seems to make or break these teams at the moment.
And can I invite you to take a gander at this emporium of items that Yagao has picked up? He is full of items. Full Morellonomicon, Sork Boots, Double Pen, Death Cap, and Ludens. So, yeah, no one's tanky to this.
No. 3 items going. Imp's kind of on that trend as well. Of course, the AP Kaiser.
Yep.
We see that very commonly in the LPL.
You can go 2 different ways. In Korea, we didn't see the AP side as much even when the Manamune comes in, but it definitely makes sense as an on-hit build, right? Given that you have the on-hit coming, there's a lot of on-hits being multiplied here.
Engage. Caught out though, that's the death charge again. Sion ulti 2. They just keep knocking up the Akali, who eventually survives. A lot burned for the mid laner, and Zoom getting chunked in. The magic damage gets through him. While again, the Aatrox faces forward while JDG relying on him. He finds the first kill, and now a numbers disadvantage as they run away.
And it looked like maybe Ryzo could turn the fight, but specifically with cooldowns up, no one dies. Ryzo goes down, and I think it's a journey back to Baron, and it shouldn't be a surprise for Dashing Buffalo.
Yeah, using the stopwatch, imitating Zoom for a second as well. They're a cheeky duo, and for JDG, they've been playing a cheeky style here in this game, number 1.
What do we got? We got a couple of control wards, all blue trinkets down. They don't have an idea about the health bar. Yagao is on the hunt. Remember, he can delete people.
And he has to be spotted now for Meliodas. He body bops him, but he gets the trouble bubble. Looking for the paddle star once again, while Nor wants to come in for the flank. He finds himself amongst one, but they're onto him. They just want this 80 carry to die, but Nor can't make it work. Yagao unchecked, comes into the side, lands the trouble bubble, and immediately back to the Baron.
Baron doesn't release. Baron doesn't release. It's at 5,000 health. Can they stop this?
Getting bursted down by Yagao even more so. Bikora wants to run forward, but Baron secured there by JDG. Now to get out.
By hook or by crook, they get the Baron, and that's the big thing. Get the Baron, get out. I don't know if Dashing Buffalo can even hope to stop them. Not quite a highway robbery. They earned this one to JDG. It wasn't straightforward, but no, not having the stasis this time, not being able to buy as much time, means that the Baron can be claimed and never releases for JDG.
That's the opening here for JDG in their first game of Rift Rivals. And everything looking good so far. Yagao building towards that 4th item and almost Rabadon's death cap there for Imp.
So we saw how much they had to fight to get this Baron. It wasn't trivial. What you should see with double Infernal and this comp is a 5,000 plus gold Baron power play. I'm not sure if we'll have the number in the top right, but it should honestly end at the Nexus. They are so powerful with Infernal here because the Zoe, unbelievable damage. The amount of people that can tank the turret, and Kai'Sa can swoop in and do huge damage. It's burst build on Imp, it's burst build on Yagao, and they're both huge, so any attempt at threatening a teleport, well, A, you don't have teleport, and B, JDG doing better.
It's like looking down the left and right side of the road at the same time right now for Dashing Buffalo. They need multiple people to make that work. JDG are heading towards that bottom side, and there is multiple mispositioning here. Dashing Buffalo spread out across the map.
They have no wave clear against Baron as well, and all of the pokes, so watch health bars, inhibitor turrets, all of the above explode. Dashing Buffalo need a plan. You cannot try to feel this one out.
That's right, because teleport's coming in from Zoom as well, who has ulti in hand. JDG with Baron buff, 5 members strong, are just going to charge this one down.
They're being decisive as they should, and Dashing Buffalo, they're looking for their moment. I don't know if they'll ever find one.
That trouble bubble lands, it could be preposterous as one does. It's onto the Aatrox. Him jumps in with him as well, and JDG's gonna smack him in the butt as Dashing Buffalo left in a 5 versus 4. That's going to be Pal's ulti onto Nor, but honestly, someone else is going to die. He tries to escape, Imp won't let him, neither will Lilmau, who brings him all the way back into the fray. Dashing Buffalo back to the Nexus. Nor, way too late as JDG pull the LPL Classic, bring the tempo into their first game, and look to set LPL up for a strong start at Rift Rivals.
Yagao skipping mad at the end. We knew it would be a high-value Baron. It's even faster than we could have predicted. You need a plan when Zoe and AP Kai'Sa get going, and it seems like JDG closed it out in the sort of fashion that the game didn't start with, but certainly earned by the end.
The bloodiness was there by the end, and